If you're expecting us to remove the sole administrator, that is not how the job is done, Ajaero. Who is expecting you to remove him? Are you the one that put him there? Who is the person expecting you to remove him? President of the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) Joe Ajaero has criticized the imposition of a sole administrator in Rivers State, describing it as unconstitutional and reminiscent of military rule. Speaking in an interview with Arise Television, Ajaero emphasized that both the governor and members of the State Assembly were democratically elected, and their removal must follow due constitutional process. He insisted that the NLC cannot recognize or take salutes from an unelected appointee, warning that such actions undermine democratic governance. The words of Ajaero at some point during the interview read, "It is self-explanatory. The people elected the governor, and then the governor was suspended. And in fact, even the assembly was suspended, and a sole administrator was imposed. A sole administrator, we had the last of it during the military era. If the country is now allowed to elect a president and allow a president to now appoint the governors in all the states, it makes sense. But the president has an authority that he was elected. The governor and members of the House of Assembly have the authority that they were elected. The process of their removal is enshrined in the Constitution," he said. He further added, "If you go beyond that, you have violated the Constitution. If you are expecting us to remove the sole administrator, that is not how the job is done. But we have said this one is wrong, and that is why we said we can't take salutations from him." Okay, we have heard you don't take salutations from him. But of course, I don't think there will be anybody that will think that the NLC people will be able to remove the sole administrator. People are not the one that put him there, so how is it possible for people to remove him? Fine John says, Constitution, Mr. President has chosen to disrespect. The Supreme Court said Rivers State allocation should not be released until the budget is presented to the lawbreakers, not the small lawbreakers, who defected to another party and lied that they did not defect. Mr. President is releasing same money to his sole administrator unknown to the law, making a mockery of the so-called Supreme Court judgment. Supreme Court said no longer sole administrators for local governments in Nigeria. Their stooge went ahead and appointed a sole administrator. Welcome to Nigeria. Will Mr. President and his judiciary and the so-called members of the National Assembly? Unfortunately, some our lawyers claim they don't know this. Same president that condemned the military takeover in some West African countries to place the Western slave master is the same president that is using the military to overthrow an elected governor at the dictate of his friends, Wike. Yes, so at the dictate of his friend, yes, because it is his friend that is dictating. Balaji Sadiq says, I wake all the blood of innocent souls the president and Wike had killed to begin to work against them until Fubara is reinstated back to power, if that is going to be possible. Amen. Amen. Dr. Emmanuel A. Issa says, I don't know how these people in Southeast and South reason. Why was the governor of Enugu State not removed? Why was Abia not suspended? As terrible as Edo was, there was no suspension. A governor that literally lost control of his state with himself being involved in bombing, and is evidently known. Even the labor leaders joined them. Did you hear the destruction of crude pipes supervised and funded by the governor? If he's fighting Wike, is Wike in Nigeria? Please back well. Emmanuel Issa, you are talking rubbish. Rubbish. Vincode Media says, and when elected governor was ruling Rivers State without checks and balances. What do you mean without checks and balances? Check and balances from who? From people that have defected. I don't understand. Without rule of law, without the elected assembly members that have defected, Mr. Vincode Media, they have defected to another party. So why should he be checking and balancing with them? Your NLC can take salute from such autocratic governor. Yes, they can take it because he was elected. Not this one that was imposed on people. Emmanuel Emi says the governor and house members are not removed but suspended, so put your records to her. Beg. Maybe make you think that they are going to install him back. If he's not going to beg, like the people are saying that he has gone to beg Wike. Do you think they are going to reinstate him back? Roland Dekane says this one has woken up again. Voila. Nigerians and bad mouths. Maili Maya says you did not get it. Anyway, the nation has gotten past this. Can the nation move forward? How can the nation move forward with the kind of leaders that you have? I beg you. Ikpebuzudono says, Mr. Ajaero, you have failed Nigerians. Go and relax. Workers are suffering and you are here asking them to remove the sole administrator. Will your demonstration make a difference? If I hear, if they say they want to make demonstration today now, like probably in the morning, before 10 a.m. they will cancel it and say they are not doing it again because they have been settled. That man, I beg. Tinubu says, notice, by May 12, all Nigerians should be at home. Nigerian army are taking over the power from Tinubu. I beg you. And it's going to lead to many violence. Those allow him to travel out of the country, he must be overthrown. Who is this one? If they come and arrest you, now people say that the government is bad. Emmanuel Odo says, well spoken by the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress. We should learn to oppose certain actions which are contrary to the tenets of democracy, no matter who takes it. Onidbuku says, the same people who preach that those who don't like an elected official should wait for the next election to remove him through votes, Abi. Victor Power says, you have been a coward since. You did nothing about fuel talk. Exactly. The man, he doesn't pull through with his. Even Oshomole was even still better. When he was the NSC president. Oshomole was active then when he was the NSC president till he became the governor and just changed. Power changes people a lot though. A lot. Jack Harder says, Ajaero has sold his birthright for a pot of food, and as a result, he no longer has any value or respect to the ordinary Nigerian worker and citizens. Very, very unfortunate. Very, very. Shasali says, Ajaero compromised living wage with the federal government, thereby turned it to be minimum wage that cannot substance by ordinary Nigerians. It's an empirical fact that Ajaero is the sole administrator to NLC. Abio. Tokbaricha says the NSC President Ajaero should study his history before coming out to speak with people. You may be right about criticizing the installment of an administrator in Rivers State. However, you were wrong by stating it clearly that the last administrator was during the military era. Former Governor Ajaero of Ekiti State was likewise suspended, and a retired soldier, Adetunji Olumi, was brought in as the sole administrator of Ekiti. Okay. Olumi ruled the same way in Ekiti as Ibas is ruling in Rivers now. Oh, wow. It is early. Everything says, tell them, it is well. Honorable Olu says, you will not get any compensation for this. You are one of the opposition leaders. My listeners, over to you. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for listening. Bye.